Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome in. We'll give people a couple minutes to jump on here, see who else joins us. But in the meantime, feel free to jump in the chat box, introduce yourself, say hello, let me know where you're tuning in from. Katie, I see you're here. Thank you for jumping in. Waco. Okay, you're not too far from me, Michael. I am in Austin.
Tuning in from New Mexico. Super excited to be here today.
Hello, Katie. Shout out to Katie. If anybody doesn't know her, she's a fantastic Jiu Jitsu photographer and just also an awesome person. So if you're ever at a tournament and you see her, you got to say hi because she's just wonderful. And she takes great photos, so she'll make you look good.
You are so wonderful. I appreciate you so much.
Of course, of course. Well, if anybody else jumps in, they'll just miss an intro here, but we're gonna get into it. So for those, oh, Michael, only an hour and a half down the road. Yes. Oh, I was just at Terry Black's the other night, and it is the finest brisket ever. It's so good. You gotta definitely have to come down, especially if you've never been. Oh, Katie, I see your face. Awesome.
Hi. I figured you
Hey.
didn't want to be talking to just names. So welcome to my office space. Hello.
Thank you. Welcome to mine. You guys can feel free to turn on your videos. It is cool to see your faces, and it is so much more fun when it is interactive. So I'll be monitoring the chat as we go through this. So feel free to jump in there if you have comments or questions. You can throw them in there. And we'll also have some time at the end for Q&A. Do you want to turn on your video so I can see your smiling face as you see mine? That would be awesome. But also, if not, it's okay if you're shy. So, hello, hello. My name is Katie Hooven. I am a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I train here in Austin, Texas at New Wave Jiu Jitsu under John Danaher, Gary Tonin, and Gordon Ryan. I started my Jiu Jitsu journey in Pennsylvania, where I'm originally from, and that was, geez, like 12 years ago now. So I started training with the team that I'm on now up in New York City when I was about 7 years in, and we all moved to Texas, so here we are. Um, I have unfortunately sustained a number of injuries while doing jujitsu. It's not easy on our bodies, so we definitely get tweaks here and there. I've had torn MCL, torn LCL. I just recently had a really bad ankle injury with multiple grade 3 sprains, tears, whatever it was. So, unfortunately, I find myself qualified to be talking about this. I'm not a medical professional. This is all information that I've gathered on my own, and also through my experiences while talking to medical professionals that I have worked with over the years. So please don't take this as the end all be all. Go see a doctor. But I'm happy to share some insight with you guys here. And aside from being professional jiu-jitsu athlete competing, teaching seminars, teaching classes. I'm also an empowerment coach, and I help women in jiu-jitsu find their inner badass, embody it, and, just step into the world with more confidence. Oh, I see Michael now. Hi, Michael. Awesome. Okay. So let's talk about what happens before injury. Um, and things that we can do to prevent injury. There's never going to be avoiding it completely, but we can do some things to prevent it. If you guys wouldn't mind muting, if you're on here, that would be super appreciated, just to get rid of some background noise here. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. So before you get injured on a normal day-to-day basis as you're training jujitsu, you want to make sure that you are incorporating recovery into your routine. Um, it's really easy to just like get into the grind of things and just be like, yeah, well, I have to train. And if I don't go to training, then I'm missing something. And all of my teammates are there and they're training and they're going to pressure me if I don't go and everything. But at the end of the day, they're not the ones who have to deal with something if you get injured. So make sure that you're incorporating rest days into your routine. Here at New Wave, John is literally here every single day, twice a day. And if I went to every single session, I would be destroyed. My body would be in shambles. So I have at least one rest day every week. And I'm listening to my body. So when I feel like I really need it, when I'm like super duper tired, my body feels achy, okay, I know it's time for a rest day. Um, it's also important to do some things like body work. They can be really beneficial if you have a good massage therapist. I love acupuncture, things like Rolfing, chiropractics, all really good for overall longevity for your body. And this, of course, is going to prevent injuries. If you have anything going on, it can reduce pain and swelling, can give you increased energy, help with your flexibility, and overall just enhance your performance over the long term. Another thing to make sure you take care of yourself is saying no to rolling with people. If there are crazy people, really spazzy people, new white belts, you got like this roided out bodybuilder who comes in and they don't know what they're doing, you can say no. It's your body. You have to protect yourself. And when I started jujitsu over 10 years ago, the culture wasn't the same. It was really, really hard to say no, especially being the only female in the room. Like for 7 years, I was the only female, and it was like, oh, if I said no, then I was giving all females in jujitsu a bad rap and I'm the bitch in the room because I say no. But my male training partners were always bigger than me and stronger than me. And I was the one who had to deal with something if I got injured, not them. So say no. It's totally okay. And by saying no, you're going to empower other people in the room to say no if they feel uncomfortable rolling with somebody. And you don't even have to have a reason for saying no. You can just say no. Like, no, thank you. I'm okay. No big deal. Another thing that is really helpful is stretching and mobility work. So keeping your body loose, and strength training, really super beneficial. When you strengthen all of your muscles all over your body, it's going to help support your joints. So in the case of unfortunately getting injured, if you have really strong muscles supporting that joint, it's going to reduce your recovery time. And just by having a really strong body, really strong muscles, your resilience of your body goes up. So that is something you can add in as well. Hello, Allison. Good to see you. Thanks for jumping on. And then overall nutrition and wellness. So eating well supports just overall good health and wellness, um, hydration, all of these things, good for recovery, good for performance on the mats. And then something that I've always been really bad at is sleep. Um, I would like get 5 hours of sleep a night, and like that definitely took a toll on my body. But there's actually studies that have shown that if you are sleep deprived, you have a 235 percent increase in risk of injury. So that's if you get 4 hours of sleep versus 8 hours of sleep. So make sure that you're getting sleep, good quality sleep, and all of these things can really help you just avoid and prevent injury in the long run. Also, before doing an intense workout, um, getting your heart rate up, doing a sport specific warm up, mobility stuff um, can be, it's a game changer, especially before like a competition or something. You don't want to go into a match cold. So get your heart rate up a few times, make sure you're warm and loose, and you'll avoid injury. And then when it comes to having like a beat up body, things like Epsom salt baths, saunas, cold plunges, so good, so good. Even though it sucks getting in that cold water, every time I do it, it's like, wow, I feel great. And then that supports the sleep and everything. So all of these things are working together to make sure that you can prevent injury, avoid it in the future. Um, but of course, it does happen. It's not always under our control. I mean, Jiu Jitsu, we're putting our body in the hands of somebody else. And there's sometimes just like fluke things that happen. I think most of my injuries have been like, how in the fuck did that just happen? Like there's no chance that that should have happened, but it happened. So when that happens, what the heck do we do? And as I talk through this, I'm going to be referring mostly to things that are like serious injuries as opposed to like, oh, I like tweak something a little bit, although the principles can overlap. So, right when an injury happens, you don't always know how bad it is. It usually takes like a day to really know, like, okay, is this just something I can work through in a couple weeks, or is this something that I really need to take seriously? So, once it happens, try not to get super freaked out. Um, just breathe first of all, and as you work through it, like listen to your body. The standard practice has been elevate, ice, rest, and studies are showing that ice isn't always the best. I've worked with a lot of like Chinese medicine practitioners. Acupuncture is one of my favorite things to do for my body. And that's based in Chinese medicine. And then I also have some friends who are like energy healers, and that of course is all like Chinese medicine based. So Chinese medicine relies more on heat actually, and more importantly, giving your body what it's calling for. So if you're sitting there and your intuition is saying ice, don't ignore it, right? Like, what does your body respond best to? Mine personally responds really well to heat. I love my sauna. I love Epsom salt baths, hot tubs. They're great. But from more of a scientific perspective, ice, it's literally like it freezes, right? It's cold, so it is reducing the flow of fluids in your body. We need blood flow for healing. We need all of our white blood cells to get in there, do their job, take everything out, and the ice is stopping that. So you don't want to completely prevent blood flow. So if you're gonna do ice, you want to do it on and off, back and forth, like 20 minutes on, 20 minutes off, so that it's kind of like pulsing and getting the blood back in there. But the heat it's promoting the blood flow. So heat in general is really good for the mobility. It's when you like wake up in the morning and you're stiff, and then as your body warms up, you start to feel better and you can move more. It's kind of the same principle. Because when you have an injury, sometimes the worst thing you can do is just stop and immobilize yourself and not move it. When you don't move the body at all, you don't have the blood flow, you're losing range of motion, and then it's going to take you longer to build that back up and get back onto the mats and get back into everything that you're doing. So maintaining that range of motion as soon as possible is really important. I think the first time I got seriously injured, like I went to the orthopedic, I did the whole thing, and they put me in a knee immobilizer. And it took me so much longer to get back into everything because I literally wasn't moving it. Motion is lotion. Yes, I can definitely relate to that. Movement also just like feels good, as we're active people. We don't just want to sit and do nothing. So moving a little bit, but don't push it too much. My PT recommended maintain the movement as long as the pain doesn't exceed a 2 on a scale of 1 to 10 on your pain scale. So you don't want, when you have like a torn ligament or something, like the last thing you want to do is tear it even further. So just moving it enough so you keep the mobility, you keep the range of motion as much as you can, but you don't want to push it and like get even more injured. So again, this is all about really tuning into your body and knowing, okay, what actually is the pain on this scale? Where is it bothering me? For example, I'm going to probably talk a lot about like an ankle injury because I literally just came off of one back in June. So when that happened to me, I'm like, okay, is the pain on the inside or the outside? Is it shooting up to my calf? Where else am I feeling tightness? So immediately I was making sure that all of the supporting muscles around my ankle, so in my foot, in my calf, up into my quad and my hip, like what is tight? Where am I feeling all of this? So jump on my foam roller, roll it out. I was doing things like self massage, all of these things supporting the blood flow. Again, really important. And just maintaining the ability to use all of the muscles that support that joint. Of course, if you feel like it's really bad, you're worried there's a tear and you want to know what's going on, if it could be fractured, go seek medical attention. Don't just, oh, I'm just gonna patch it all together and everything's gonna be fine. Like be responsible and know when you should be going and seeing somebody. You see the orthopedic, PT, acupuncture, like whatever it is that you prefer for medical attention and support. Okay, just checking my notes here. All right. And then again, nutrition, hydration, supplements, all of these things are going to just help your body heal whatever it is that's going on. I know when I get injured, I get sad, and I really just want to eat a whole bunch of ice cream. That's like what I do when I'm sad. And that's probably not the right thing to do because ice cream is not giving me nutritional support. It's not really doing anything for me. It might help me feel better. Maybe I'll have like a little bit of ice cream and not an entire pint, but really making sure that you're getting good whole foods, anti-inflammatory foods. If you have a turmeric supplement, that's great. If you can put turmeric in your food, awesome. Pineapple is an anti-inflammatory. So just eating things that are going to naturally support your recovery for the injury that you are unfortunately experiencing. Make sure you take your vitamins, again, just to support everything that's going on. Um, and whenever I have something happen, I immediately make sure, okay, have I been taking like a joint complex? Just adding a couple things in there. And then also collagen peptides. Those are really good for just rebuilding and supporting any sort of soft tissue. And these are things that you can just get at the grocery store or a vitamin shop, GNC, whatever the case may be. Collagen peptides, they like put them in like creamers and things now. Like there, you have a lot of options for those supplements. So another big thing that comes up with injury is mindset. Um, it can be really scary and frustrating and just overall like unsettling to be injured, especially when it's a severe injury, when you're a competitor, and you're just like, but I'm supposed to compete in 2 months and now I can't, and I can't go to training, and now what do I do? It can really make you feel scared and frustrated. And I know when I get injured, like the first thing I do, I'm like, okay, gonna go cry now, get it out, let yourself feel your emotions, so it doesn't like weigh super heavily on you. But having a good mindset in approaching this is going to be really important. um you got injured, there's nothing you can do about it except support your recovery. So feel the feelings, feel the frustration, and know that everything is going to be okay, and it's not the end of the world, right? Jiu-jitsu is fortunately something that we can do forever. So when something happens, and this goes for all of life, like things are happening for us, not to us. So we take more of an empowered perspective rather than a victim mentality, can really help you when you're approaching, okay, here I am recovering. Now what do I do? So when I get injured or a friend of mine gets injured or something, I look at it as, okay, what is this telling me? What's going on in my life that maybe I need to shift and change? Where can I make some tweaks? Where is the opportunity in this circumstance? Um, I'm somebody who go, 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 go all the time. So a lot of times for me, I'm like, okay, am I pushing myself too hard? Do I need to slow down a little bit? Have I not been taking enough rest or recovery days? Have I been slacking there? Um, and looking at even just a little tweak in your body, that way you can prevent bigger things from happening. So look at it from the perspective of, there is an opportunity in this circumstance. Where can I shift things? What can I do a little bit differently? Where am I overdoing it? And you can look at other aspects of your life as well, like what's overwhelming in work or your relationships. Because our body stores emotions, stores tension. If you have like a bunch of built up resentment, you could be like just really tense all the time. You could be carrying that into your jujitsu. And then you show up and you're rolling and you're super tense. And then you end up getting injured, right? Because you're coming in like really rigid and not fluid like you would want to be. So just holistically look at everything that's going on and give yourself grace, right? Like this is something that happens to everybody at some point in jujitsu. You're not dead, right? It's just an injury. You're going to get through it. It's only temporary. So look at, again, this is happening for me. What is this telling me? I'm a big meditation person. I love meditation. So that's something that I do in just my day-to-day routine anyway. But if that's your jam, there are some specific meditation techniques that you can do to promote healing from an energy perspective. So like when I got injured back in June. It's like the first thing I did. I was like, okay, I'm looking for injury specific meditations. Just getting my mindset right and just doing literally everything that I can to support my healing. So get your mindset right, have a good perspective. And then when it comes to approaching jujitsu, what do we do, right? So we'll start with when you're unable to train. So you have a really bad injury, you're out for a few weeks, or you have a tweak or something, you're going to take a couple days off. You can always, Allison, yes, I definitely can share some, of course. So if you're unable to train, you can always show up to class and watch. I teach jujitsu myself. So I would always prefer, somebody shows up and they can't do something and they're there and they're present, than them not showing up at all. So by showing up to jujitsu and being there, you are staying sharp, you're keeping your mind attached to the sport, and you're sticking with your routine as well. Because it can be really easy, like something goes wrong and you're just like, nope, I'm done. I'm going to veg out on the couch. I'm going to eat my pints of ice cream. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to get lazy. I'm going to wallow in self-pity. None of that. We want to get back as soon as possible. So show up to class, watch training, and then you get the support of your teammates too. I have taken a couple days off after injury, like do that. If you need to stay home and you just need to be by yourself, do that. And then when you go back, like I was so touched by how much everybody cared when I got back. They were like, oh my God, how are you? What can I do? What do you need? So hopefully you find yourself in a gym that is equally as supportive, where your teammates want the best for you. They're there and they're supporting you. And you just like feel the love when you're there and you're like, oh yeah, like I'm not alone. Feeling like you're not alone can be a big deal. Um, so show up, watch class. You're going to absorb some stuff while you're there just watching, and it keeps you mentally connected to the sport. You can also take the opportunity when you're injured to do mental reps. So your subconscious doesn't know the difference between physically doing it and mentally doing it. So when you're out and you can't train, you busted your knee and you can barely walk, like you're not going to be doing jujitsu, but you can do mental reps. So if you show up to class and your coach teaches something, you can sit there and you can, all right, close my eyes, like, all right, I'm hand fighting, I'm doing whatever, and you can imagine yourself actually doing it. You can do that at home as well, just drilling some techniques that you like or if you like instructionals, you can do it that way too. So that is a good way to keep your mind and your body sharp as well, because the subconscious is what fuels 95% of what we do. So by doing those mental reps, you're keeping your subconscious like in the loop with jujitsu. So then when you do come back, yeah, you're going to feel a little bit rusty, I'm sure, but you're not going to be as far behind because you kept everything sharp and you stayed connected to jujitsu and your techniques the entire time. So then when it comes back to getting into training, again, I said this before, but it's really important to listen to your body. Only you know when it's the right time to come back and how quickly you can come back or how slowly to come back, right? Like you don't want to come in hot and heavy really fast and then you end up hurting yourself even more. I know people who have come back too soon and then they re-injure themselves. So don't force yourself to come back. Come back when you're ready. And again, give yourself grace. You aren't going to be able to do everything that you're used to doing. Your body just had something serious happen to it. Like for me with my ankle, I was like, okay, I don't have stability. I don't have the same balance in my ankle, and it hurts when I step in certain ways, or it hurts when I sit back on my heels. So there's definitely things I'm not going to be able to do. But I'd rather show up and do a little bit. If I can only do 10%, at least I'm doing 10%. That's better than zero. So as you get back into it, take it slowly. You're going to have good days and bad days. There are going to be days where your body feels really good, and there are going to be days where it doesn't feel quite as good. Healing isn't linear. So don't say, well, I was able to do all of these things yesterday and today I can't. Well, yesterday you did all those things. So now your body is recovering from that. You're going to feel some soreness. You're going to feel some tension. Like you're putting movement back into your body and whatever was injured. So keep that in mind. Like you're going to have upward it's like a, it's like a stock graph. Like you go up and you go down a little bit. You go up a little bit and you go down a little bit. Over time, you're going to get all the way up, but you're going to have some ups and downs in there. So give yourself grace with that, and every day check in with yourself. Something that you can do is before you go to training, before you go to the gym, whatever, think about, okay, how much percent do I have physically right now? Like, all right, my body's it's only at 40%. Okay, it's only at 40%, and that's okay. I'm only going to do, as much as my body can handle today. But hey, mentally, I'm at 95%. So you can approach things from a more technical perspective because your mind is there and your mind is sharp. And as you do your techniques, do them slowly. You don't have to go fast. Go slow. Take your time. If you have an injury to your lower body, take slow steps. You don't have to speed through everything. They say it all the time in Jiu Jitsu, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. It's the same when we're injured. Go slowly, figure out what your body can handle. A lot of it when you start getting back into things is like testing out what you can handle, doing some exploration into, okay, this joint can handle this much, or oh, it hurts when I move it in this way. And you're figuring it out. When you feel something hurt, you just back off. Okay, don't need to do as much here. I don't need to put as much load into that particular movement, or force or strength. Like just, take it easy. A couple of pro tips. One is to work in a group of 3 people when you come back. So this is a good way to slowly get back into it without putting pressure on a teammate or training partner. So if you're in a group of 3 and there's something that you can't do, well, your group still has people that they can work with. If you're only training with one person and there's something you can't do, it's like, oh man, now I feel really bad. And then you might even pressure yourself a little bit to do something that your body can't yet handle. So I always, if it's a serious injury, I work in a group of 3, and then I just have them drill the moves on each other, and I jump in with the techniques that I feel comfortable doing. And I pick people that I know are really supportive and understanding, and people who are really good, safe training partners. So as you come back, you really need to make sure you are very selective with your training partners. Like this is back in the beginning when I said prevent injury by saying no. It's even more important once you get injured to say no to certain people you're not comfortable working at. And who cares if they get mad at you? This is, again, it is your body. It is your responsibility to make sure that you stay safe and healthy. So working in a group of 3 just reduces pressure on yourself and other people around you. Yeah, Liliana. Definitely group of 3. And then, it's kind of fun. You get to banter with 2 people instead of just one. Oh, and Michael said, um, watching something in person or on video helps you a lot, even just like watching a sport on TV. Yeah, just keeping yourself connected to athletics if you can't do as much. And then another pro tip is when it's applicable, when you're able to use a brace or tape on the injury, you can this in this way you can support a joint. So with my most recent severe ankle injury, I've just been taping it constantly. I find that the tape is more supportive than a brace, so that's my personal um, preference here. I have more control over like what exactly is being supported. Again, going back to feeling into your body and knowing like what's bothering you and where the weakness is. So I like to tape it. It's also a little bit less bulky. But another thing that is big when it comes to using a brace or tape is that it's a physical indicator for not only your training partners, but also yourself that something is wrong. All of my teammates know that I had a really bad ankle injury. They saw that my ankle was swollen for 2 weeks and I could barely walk. But when you're training and rolling and you're flipped around and upside down and moving around, I can't tell my lefts and rights normally, even less when people are moving. And I'm like, wait, I don't know. So having something that's like, okay, that's the injured one. I'm going to make sure that I'm careful with it. And then like my training partners as well know, and they're like, oh, I'm not going to grab that, or I'm going to be really careful with that particular joint. So that's another really good one. And if it's not an ankle, if it's an elbow, there's braces for like everything out there now. You can also use, I was just using like regular tape for this ankle, but you can use KT tape. I know some people really love KT tape, supportive for joints, and this is something that you can use when you're not training or doing anything. But the KT tape can be super supportive, and there's so many videos online about how to apply it for any individual injury or joint or whatever's going on. So that's another thing that you can do. I saw some snaps over there from Katie. I guess you're a fan of KT tape over there. And then the last thing here that I have in my notes is when it comes to live rounds. So start with just drilling and do what you can. And once you have gotten to a point where you're comfortable with the live training, and again, give yourself grace, don't push yourself too hard. Jiu-jitsu will always be there. So come back when you are truly ready. But once you do, identify your safe training partners, the guys who got your back, the girls that you know support you. Identify who they are, find people that you trust, and only work with them. This goes for drilling and for live rounds. Most of the time it's somebody who's our size, maybe a little smaller than us. But I will say that some of my favorite training partners and people who have the most control over the years have been the bigger guys. So it's not necessarily like any particular size, but just you know who the people are that you can trust to train with. And again, say no. This is your permission. Say no to people that you feel uncomfortable training with. Anybody that makes you feel a little bit worried about training, don't do it. One of my injuries within the past year happened because I said yes to somebody when my gut was telling me to say no. And I ended up being out for a few weeks and I wasn't able to compete for 4 months. And I was then really mad at myself because I didn't listen to what my gut was telling me. So please say no, especially as you're still healing. You want to get back to 100%. You want to be back to doing everything you're used to doing, both inside the gym and out. And again, take it slow. You don't have to do every round. You can start with positional rounds, go easy, go light. If you know how to flow roll. So many people don't know how to flow roll, but if you know how to flow roll and there are other people in your gym that also know how to flow roll, that is something that is really good to do when you're injured because there's no resistance. When you're not using resistance, you can actually like move. And that's another good way to like experiment and figure out what you're comfortable doing and what your body can handle at any particular time. So take it slow. You don't have to do certain positions that irritate your injury. For example, for me, like mount round was bothering me with my ankle. So I wouldn't do mount round. I wouldn't do a leg lock round. I would sit out for that one in particular, but I was participating in as much as I could, taking it slow, listening to my body. If there were days where it was just like, oh yeah, I'm feeling like my ankle's a little bit tweaked today, no problem. Like everybody else also knows that you're injured. So nobody's going to judge you if you sit out around. Um, and don't feel bad for asking somebody to like go light with you, go easy. This, while it is an individual sport, it is a team sport. We need to be supported by our teammates, and everybody goes through some sort of injury at some time. So everyone's there to support you. Just, hey, can we do like a light round today? Like, I'm just getting back into things. If somebody says, no, I'm not doing a light round with you, well, then they're not a safe training partner for you. But anybody else, like the people who really got your back, your trusted teammates and everything, they're going to be all on board. Like, yes, absolutely. I got you. Because it's karma. When they need you to go light with them, you're going to remember it. And then you're going to go, you're going to be a good teammate to them too. Michael said I had to use an elbow brace for about 3 weeks when I got put in a deep omoplata and got bad golfer's elbow from ligaments going over something. Yes, yes. All the braces. I'll use braces and tape even after I feel like, oh, I'm like feeling good. No, longer than you think you should. Keep it there just in case. Like the fact of the matter is, Jiu Jitsu is a sport where a lot of the movements in our bodies happen because of other people doing things. It's not like you're running and you're completely in control of your body. Like your movements depend on what the other person is doing too. So like keep that brace on, keep the tape on, even after you're feeling like, oh, okay, like I'm good. Like just a little bit longer. Another thing, communicates. We kind of just talked about this, but like make sure your teammates know that there's an injury, even just reminding them like, hey, by the way, like I still have that ankle injury. Hey, by the way, like my shoulder is still bothering me, or like I have a neck thing going on. Like, please don't guillotine me today. Just letting them know something's up. This is not a competition, right? Like we're in the training room. So giving them a heads up, and letting them know how intensely you can train. Again, like, hey, can we do like a light round today? Or like, hey, I know we went a little bit harder yesterday, but like, I'm really feeling it in that injury. Can we just like take it down a notch today? And just letting them know what's up. And then finally, tap extra early. If you have an ankle injury and somebody ankle locks you, no, I'm out immediately. Once you get a hold of that, nope, I'm not even going to mess with it. I don't want to take any more risk with that injury. I don't want any more time off the mats. This is not the finals in ADCC. This is not IBJJF World. This is training, and we're getting back into everything. So tap extra early, tap often. It's no big deal. So, all right. I think that is the end of my notes here. So if you guys have any questions or comments or anything, please feel free. I am your resource here. Use me while I'm around. Be more than happy to give any feedback. So if you guys have comments, concerns, questions, commentary, compliments, whatever you got, I am here for it. And if you want to say something, you can just unmute yourself and jump on.
I'm definitely here for the saying no to rules. For me personally, that I think has been my biggest struggle in jiu-jitsu. And so I love hearing another lady say it, because for me, I felt the same thing. I'm one of only 2 women that train in my gym. So at first saying no was like, oh no, am I doing a disservice to all women in the gym? So I love hearing people say like, it's okay to say no, because that was really big for me.
Yeah, and I know you and I have talked at times too, and you tell me like, oh yeah, I went to training, and like I said no to this guy. I'm like, yes, good. It's always okay to say no. Always. Thank you so much, Katie. Yes, Liliana, please do say something.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, hello.
Hi. I have insane jujitsu hair right now because I just came back from training. That's why I'm not
Hey.
turning on the camera. But I will say I was promoted to blue belt in the summer, and in my promotion, I had my cast. I'm sorry, my boot from an ankle injury that I had earlier in the year. I broke my ankle during a tap cancer out event. I had surgery and I had the plate and the screws put in and all of that. And a lot of the things that you were saying today, I'm just so grateful that you did this, because I wish I would have heard this earlier. Fortunately, I had teammates echoing a lot of the things that you've said, but I know that it's not like that in every gym and every community. It did help a lot to show up to step on the mat, even with my cast. I would be on the sideline watching in my gi, watching, recording. um when I was able to move a little more, I just started working on the top, a little bit on my knees, and everything has been gradual. I'm rolling again now. It's been 5 months since my injury, but I have followed everything that you said. I communicate with my training partners. They know, don't like don't sweep me on that leg. I wear a brace on it, a little sleeve on it. I don't know what it's called, but something that it's more of an indicator to them, right? Like, to remind them, don't touch that. Even though sometimes mistakes happen or people get carried away, but the communication is key. Picking your partners is key. I've stood there and flat out have said no to, sometimes I'll be called out by either not only white belts, but some blue belts can get a little aggressive too. And I'll just look at them and say, no, sorry, no, I'm okay. And I'll just go with someone that I feel is safer for me. And it's been right now, I don't know if you can give me some advice on this, but I'm going through some serious FOMO because everybody's signing up for Miami Open. And I'm like, I want to compete so badly, but logically, I know that it's not in my best interest, but my heart is, oh. So how have you gotten through that?
Yeah, well, first of all, congratulations on the blue belt. That is
Thank you.
amazing. Well,
Thank you. Thank you.
snaps all
Thank you.
around. So sorry you had such a severe injury. And I'm really glad that you're in an environment that is supportive and you had teammates to help guide you through something. I feel like the information that I shared today, like it's just what I've collected over the course of a decade of doing jujitsu, and like it's not really spoken about and shared. And I've definitely made mistakes at some point. So I'm really glad that you had people guiding you and helping you. And that like you're showing up and you're even wearing your gi even when you can't actually roll in your gi. Um, the FOMO thing is something that's really hard to deal with. And it's something that, I've dealt with a lot too. Like I am a competitor. I train on a team of some of the best competitors in the world, and everybody around me was like, yeah, gonna go do this open. Yeah, we're all going to Arizona. Yeah, we're doing this. Yeah, we're doing that. And part of it for me was just like fully accepting, like, okay, I can't. And admitting to myself that I can't, rather than like getting hopes up or trying to push myself too hard. Just even just the saying it to myself, like I'm physically unable to, and I'm going to hurt myself more if I do this, was like step number one. And then once it was like, okay, I definitely can't do this, how can I still stay connected to it. You can still go to the event if you want. I don't know. You said the Miami Open. I don't know if you live in Miami or Florida or whatever, but especially if it's a local tournament, really easy to show up and be there and support. Um, if it's not a local tournament and you still feel like going, you can absolutely still go to tournaments and be there as a supportive teammate. If you can't actually go, you can support from afar and you can watch your teammates. If you're like a social media user, you can go on and like post and like, yeah, like great job to my friend Liliana. She did great today. Like, um, so those are ways that you can like stay connected to it. Um, even if you can't physically compete. Like I know I do love going to events when I can, if
Yeah.
they're local, even when they're not, and that can be helpful. But just even like accepting and like admitting to yourself, like, okay, I can't. Take some of that pressure off. And then the FOMO can also be reduced if you're like, I can't compete, but I'm gonna be there.
So I registered to work the event. I don't know if they're going to select me, but I feel like I did that not only because I've never done it before and I'm curious about it, but also as a way to force myself to like, okay, I'm going to show up to work, not to compete. I'll still see my teammates. So I'll let you know how it goes if I get selected.
Yes, please do. Yeah, my messages, my email, everything always open for you guys. So feel free to reach out for things. Um when it when it comes, Michael, this doesn't apply to you because you're a dude in jiu-jitsu, but like women in jiu-jitsu, sometimes we don't have support, and women thrive in community and we need the community. And I didn't have anybody 10 years ago when I was doing jiu-jitsu and I was a blue belt and like there was nobody around. So I want to be the woman that I never had when I was coming through the ranks. So please, you can reach out to me. I would love to hear how it goes for you, Liliana, what your experience is working the event. Michael, you can email me too. That's okay. You're not excluded from it. Um, but Katie, I don't know if you were on here, Liliana, when I mentioned, but Katie is a jiu-jitsu photographer and she's at a ton of events across the country. She works events. She might be at the Miami Open. Who knows? She could be working side by side with her, doing something, but she is somebody who has experience working with things. So you guys could connect, and maybe she can help you out a little bit. But yeah, she's another awesome human who works events.
Thank you. Yeah, for sure. That I ironically I actually got into jiu-jitsu photography. I started doing it professionally officially about 2 years ago, but I started getting into it because I dislocated my knee and was off the mats for a month. And so I was like, well, I want to travel with my team. I want to go, but I definitely can't compete right now. So I decided to take up photography, and that's where I'm at now. And so if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. I've worked with IBJJF a lot and ADCC as well. So super duper open book. That's how I met Katie, was at Nogi Worlds last year. Absolutely wonderful lady. And so I've been really blessed with a super, super connected community.
Awesome.
Amazing. Great.
Michael. Oh, sorry, Liliana. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's amazing. That's amazing. Great. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course, of course. And Michael, you had a question about CBD, weightlifting, yoga, band exercises. I love CBD. I use it all the time. I think it's freaking great. I actually have like a chronic hip thing that I've probably jujitsu related. Who knows? But it'll sometimes like prevent me from falling asleep. So I use my CBD if I'm having issues falling asleep. Um, definitely helps with some tightness and soreness as well. Arnica is another nice thing to help with tightness and soreness, and I'll use arnica in conjunction with self massage. I also have like some weird like Thai oils and stuff, like Muay Thai people have recommended to me, that have like, they smell super funky, but they've got just like the herbs and stuff in there. Um, that can be really helpful for tightness and soreness, especially around injuries. And arnica helps reduce swelling and helps with bruising as well. And you can also take arnica. Arnica comes in a cream and then also an oral supplement that you can take, and they taste like little sugar cubes. It's kind of nice. um I weightlift all the time. I weightlift 4 days a week, usually. Strength is something that's really important for me just to like maintain overall good health and wellness. And then, like I said earlier, to support, um, joint health and everything and longevity, resilience. I'm not a personal trainer, but I've worked with professionals. I've had my own coaches and stuff that I think is really super helpful. But you can also, like, if you're not an avid weightlifter and you don't have a program, there are a bunch of like jujitsu specific programs floating around out there. If you wanted to work one-on-one with personal trainers, I have some people that I could recommend, that do things online and stuff. Um, Yoga, I don't do a ton of yoga. I do a little bit here and there. I probably should do more to be more flexible, but I don't. I know a lot of people love yoga. And I think it's, I meditate a ton, so I find like my balance through that. But I think doing something like yoga that's like a little easier on the body, it's a balance between like the aggression from jujitsu, how hard it is on the body, and then yoga, which is just like nicer and more chill and just like, I don't know, it's kind of nice to have that balance, like come home and relax a little bit. I personally don't do band exercises, but I know a lot of people do really love those. But it's not something that I really do much at all. But hopefully that was helpful for you, Michael. Oh, I'm all for it. Anxiety nerves are real. I'm trying to get into something. Yes, we're here to support Michael. Absolutely. Even anxiety, like walking into a new jujitsu gym can be like, oh my God, even now, like I've been doing this for so long. People know who I am now. And even still, I'm like, am I really going to go in there? Oh my gosh. Okay. Deep breath, walk in. Definitely a real thing. And the support it goes a really long way. Allison, did you have a question? I thought I saw your hand up there.
Yeah, I realize we have a limited time, and so I pretty much just want to say maybe I can reach out to you separately because I know we met like one time for one class, and I eventually quit that gym. Like I started jujitsu as a way to increase like I was having emotional issues with needing self-defense and like needing to know that I had a way to defend myself, which we it's a complex thing, but that sort of went away. So my reason for doing jujitsu went away, in addition to which I tweaked my knee at being a newcomer, being a little older, and not knowing who to roll with. I rolled with somebody from out of town, and I didn't know her, and she hurt. I mean, I got hurt. Whether it's her fault or not, I got hurt. For me, it's almost not so much a matter of saying no to somebody who's asked to roll with me. It's more like nobody here wants to roll with me because I'm 5 feet tall, 100 pounds, and a beginner. So I know physically I can't accidentally hurt well, I could accidentally hurt someone, but it's less likely given I'm not like a 250-pound guy, like beginner, but I am a beginner. And so like nobody really wants to roll with me. So it's more like I need to ask people to roll as opposed to somebody coming up to me and saying, hey, I want to train with you or want to roll with you. So I know all that was so difficult to overcome that I just like stopped. But I'm thinking maybe in the future, once I have a job, like individual lessons would be more helpful for me, you know?
Yeah, I mean, private lessons can be something that are really helpful to supplement for various reasons in your jujitsu life, or even just developing the confidence to like be there and feel worthy and everything. And even as a 5'8", 160-pound female, like I still am like, oh my gosh, like, do I actually contribute some days? Like there's some days where I'm like, but they're all dudes. And like I'm training with some of the best in the world. And like, why would they want to train with me over somebody else and stuff? So I get what you're saying completely. And I saw Katie smiling as you were talking. And I know Katie personally, very well. And like Katie is 100 pounds. Like she's just like, you know, in the same sort of boat as you, when it comes to physical stature. And what I would encourage for you is like taking ownership of your training, and like you are as much of a member of a gym that you decide to be in as anybody else who's there, and you deserve to get the rounds, and you deserve to have a good partner, and you deserve it just as much as anybody else does. And I mean, I've gone through periods where like I'll be at an open mat and I was like just afraid to ask people like, oh, I'm a girl, why would they want to like train with me? But sometimes you just like sit there and you watch and you can identify like who might be a better round, who might be somebody who's good to train with. And even just being there and sitting there and watching, like you can then talk to somebody else who's sitting there and watching, and then you can form a bond with them. Or even if you just go and do some techniques, and maybe you're in a group of three, like maybe you're the kid who gets picked last in gym class, and okay, here's where we are. There are benefits to that. If you go in a group of three, you get to pick two people that you get to work with. Like you don't get stuck with somebody you identify like, oh, those people are safe people for me to work with. Like I feel comfortable with them. I'm friends with one of them. Maybe I can make friends with the other one. And then you're in a group of three, and then you just develop bonds. And when you develop relationship and bonds with people, it makes it less intimidating to ask those people to roll. So, you know, even if you go and you feel uncomfortable asking a bunch of people to roll, you might have a couple people that you can ask to roll. And you can ask them before class too, like, hey, can we get a round in today? So you stay at top of mind with them. Like just developing rapport with people, I think can really help. And also just doing it takes away the anxiety and the fear. Right? You get over fears by being courageous when you feel fear. Like there isn't always like, hey, this is how you do it. Sometimes you just have to do it. And you do it once, and then the second time feels a little bit better. And then the third time will feel a little bit better. And then the fourth time, like, oh, okay, I can handle this. But it's kind of like exposing yourself and your nervous system to it so you don't freak out as much when it comes down to it. Um, like you are worthy of having good training partners. And remember that everybody in that training room was a beginner at some point too. And if they're not a dick, they're going to remember that they were a new person at some point. And you deserve to have the support, and you deserve people who want to train with you. I know people who love working with beginners, and they love helping them and teaching them and like just being a good, safe round for them. So, you know, just you are, remember that you are worthy of everything just by being a member of that community. You're worthy of good training. You're worthy of having around. Like you're all there to get better. Whether your why is for self-defense reasons or your why is because you want a nice hobby, you want to make friends, whatever it is. What also could help is finding a gym that has a women's program. Go, you make friends with the women, then it's like a little less pressure when you go to the co-ed classes. And then perhaps there's other women who are your size, or at least a little bit smaller, and you just can feel more comfortable with that. But then it's like you create the bonds within the confines of the women's group, and then you get more courage to be in the co-ed class. And I know, like myself, I teach a women's class. A lot of women, they just love to go there and have fun and like connect, and we have a great time. I like twerk on the windowsill sometimes. It's like it's crazy time. But when you see each other then in class, if I know people who are good training partners and I see like a newer woman, I'll be like, hey, so and so, can you roll with Allison today? And like they can help you get connected to other people too. So I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. I guess the question was a little less about injury and a little more about just overall basics, but the injury itself, like I'm a baby a little bit. I don't want to break my body anymore. I've done enough of that. So if at the slightest sign of something going wrong, I'm out. I'll watch from the side. I'll do whatever it takes. But if I feel a tweak, I'm done. Done for the day. I'm done. I'm too old. So thank you.
And that's like a great perspective to have too. Like you're not willing to hurt your body anymore. That's a good thing. Cause I've definitely been stubborn. And then the next day I'm like, well, shit. Why did I do this? Oh, Michael's phone's at 8%. Sorry, Michael. It was so nice to have you here. Yes, you'll have to come down for some barbecue and flow roll. If you know how to flow roll, I'll call you out if you don't. Let me know when you come down. You can always shoot me a DM or something. But have a good day. Thank you for joining us. And Liliana, you asked for Instagram handle for me. Oh, you sent me a direct message. Well, I will send you my Instagram handle. Everybody, my Instagram handle is easy. It's just at Katie Hooven. I'll throw it in the follow-up email with the replay too, but I'll just throw that in there to you, Liliana. It's just at Katie Hooven. There you go. And then Liliana, if you want to be connected to Katie, of course, you guys connect there too. She's really easy to find too. I think you can literally just type in Katie Petty, and you'll find her pretty easily. And maybe you've already asked her. If you have, please disregard me. All right. Is there anything else that anybody would like to chat about here? Oh, we just had somebody join the waiting room. See if they want to say anything. Could have got the times mixed up or something. I will stick around if you guys have any other questions, and it doesn't necessarily have to be injury related. It can be anything jujitsu or mindset. Like again, I do empowerment, like life coaching for women in jujitsu. So I'm here to support and love and help everybody like channel their inner badass and lead with that. Ivy, I'm so glad it was helpful. Thank you for being here. Liliana, thank you. Good luck with your injury. Let me know how it goes at the Miami Open. All right. Anything else, anybody? No. It's just me and you,
Then we're
Katie.
gonna turn in a report. Like we'll need all the paperwork from you before.
We love that. Thank you so much for doing this. This was great. Amazing job. I knew it. I love it. It's so fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. I love you. The replay is going to go out. So if you're watching this on the replay, feel free to shoot me a message if you have any questions, comments, concerns, commentary, compliments. Thanks. But yeah, thank you for everybody who is here live. Thank you for everybody who watches the replay. And if I haven't known you before, welcome to my little part of the universe. All right, everybody, have a good day. Bye.